Hey, I'm Hannah Grace Hall. Welcome to the Middle of the Story podcast, where we have raw, unfiltered, faith-filled conversations on God meeting us in the middle of our stories. Grab a cup of coffee and join us. Hey guys, welcome to the Middle of the Story podcast. It's Hannah Grace Hall joining you again on a Thursday afternoon. Today, my friend Brittany Young is here. We are so excited about this episode. We've actually talked about it a few times over coffee. And the title of it is Purity Culture, What We Got Wrong and What God Meant for Good. So we are so pumped to have you here and to join us for a much needed conversation on the topic of purity. So here we go, Brittany Young.
I'm so excited. This is going to be amazing.
I just want to take our times that we've had coffee and just bring it right here.
Yeah.
I brought the coffee. We have the comfy chairs. I'm so excited.
We are ready.
We're ready. And scene.
Literally.
I don't like to be this person, but I'm going to have my notes up here just because I want to try to stay in our lane of what we're going for. But like we said right before the cameras were rolling, I'm just here to yap with you.
Yeah.
I love our yap sessions.
Same.
So we have my time talking about purity culture, dating, you're in the season of dating. Mm-hmm. Obviously my viewers,
I love it.
all 50 of them. They all know that Adam and I went through betrayal trauma. So and he struggled with a pornography addiction. So we're all navigating sexual culture in some way, right? Everybody is. We were just saying, sex sells in the United States. It feels like it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So
you cannot avoid it.
No.
Yeah.
It's in your face. It's on TikTok. It's on a billboard. It's on TV. And where do we show up in the Christian community amidst all of that?
Yeah.
So when I started to get ready for this episode, I went to the Bible, and it's really funny. Last night I hosted my little girls group that I mentor, and our Bible verse last night was our Bible verse for today's filming, and it's 1 Samuel 16:7, and it talks about God looking at our heart. He doesn't look at our actions or the things that we have. He looks at our heart. And then I love 2 Corinthians 5:17, and it's, if anyone is in Christ, they are a new creation. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to start the whole premise of, I think our heart for women, people, men, to know that purity doesn't start with what you do. It starts with your heart.
Yeah.
But it's the Middle of the Story podcast, and we start every episode with, how did you find Jesus? Are you a Christian? How'd you meet him? Tell us your story about you and Jesus.
Love it. I always joke with people, I don't have a super interesting testimony, but I also think there's testimony in consistency in the way God shows up. And I grew up in a Christian household, I was just telling my friend about this, she's my best friend and didn't know this. I would listen to Adventures in Odyssey on the radio with my family every night, and I was so pure. Felt. And there's an episode where a character, Eugene, he accepts Christ into his heart. And literally I asked my parents, I'm 5 years old, so kindergarten. And I was am I a Christian too? Or how does that work? And they were yeah, say this prayer and then Jesus comes to your heart, blah, blah, blah. And I was okay. And I go, I need privacy. So I stick my head into the corner of the couch. Literally, I was always a very theatrical, very dramatic kid. And I literally stuck my head in the couch, and I remember being silent. I'm sure my parents were what is this girl doing? And I literally prayed and became a Christian. And I would say I've been a pretty consistent Christian throughout my entire life. I've never really heavily walked away. I definitely struggled in college, with underage drinking in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think really struggling being a performative Christian.
Yeah.
As well as just struggling a lot with fear and control and letting God into maybe 10% of my life, but the other 90% I had to control. I made the decisions. And I think even a little bit of arrogance mixed with fear about being I know how to make decisions that's going to keep me safe and protected. And I think that's really been my journey with God in the last really 5 years, is learning. I'm no, not only did God give us rules, guidelines, whatever, to how we should live a Christian life, but he also genuinely wants to be there for you, be connected with you, and be part of every part of your life. So that's something I feel as I've learned in my faith walk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so, I feel like it's like you go on these like little mini series with God, like your like commitment to faith, and then it's like fun, and then like you hit high school and you're like, I don't really know.
Yeah,
and then college and you're like, I really don't know. And then your 20s, I feel like you start to like even out.
And then you're like, I want to have fun, but I'm also a Christian, and so I'm conflicted, and what does that look like and mean? Yeah.
When I was driving here, I literally was thinking about like some of my like young adults and high schoolers that have like confided in me either in the present or in the past, and like this is not the point of this episode, but this is for free. Ayo. But like like talking about drinking and being like, well, what are we gonna do if we don't get drinks? And thinking like, if we have to escape our reality for fun, then that's a problem. Like we need to like address like, why do we want to desensitize and like have a euphoric feeling that's like not even really that euphoric, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
Long game was not fun.
No.
But like, why do we do that? Like, what is the root issue of that? Because there's been so many girls' nights that like I show up to that like there's no alcohol, and they're the funniest, most fun nights that do not involve alcohol. But like, why do we encourage that?
Or feel the need to like create an excuse.
Yeah.
Like,
well, we have to get a drink. And it's like, well, no, we don't. We can just like hang out and talk. Like, it's okay. Anyways, that's for free.
Honestly, I feel like that is kind of tied into purity culture because
totally,
in some ways, like it's about like escapism, or not even getting truly vulnerable, because that can be even more scary than having sex, than drinking is like actually being real and honest in your authentic self. So I think it kind of does play into purity culture.
It was just really interesting to like think about that on the way here, because I was like, okay, I'm talking to these girls and I'm like trying to figure out, like explain to them like, well, why do we not do that? Like, why do you not want to do that? Because everybody tells you that you should. Like that's like the messaging. We were talking about identity last night, which I guess that ties into purity culture too, of like their world is going to tell you your identity is so many different things. Christian culture is going to tell you your identity is so many different things. But like your identity is like who God says you are. And the best title you can have is daughter.
Absolutely.
So anyways,
I think also,
go ahead.
Sorry, I know we're kind of going
I love it.
Like I know, to be honest, when you're saying all this, and I do think this also ties into purity, I think that's the effect of being like a cultural Christian. Is like for me going to a party school for college where they were like, oh, you can still be a Christian or a good person, whatever, and drink, mess around with guys, whatever. And that it's kind of like, oh, because this is what you're supposed to do. And I think it's kind of scary also. And it's not just the South, so I don't want to hit on the South, but I think in culturally Christian areas where there's almost like this excuse, because it's like, oh, you're young, you're in college, it's fine. And I mean, I think I believe that for part of my college experience, being like, man, why do I feel convicted? But I'm also like, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, this is supposed to be fun. But feeling that tension of like, I don't know. And I think I don't know. I think that plays into purity culture too.
Absolutely.
So,
I told a group of girls this past week, like, don't believe the lie that like this is your time to do this. It does tie into purity culture, because like the idea is like, well, this is your time to like figure out your sexuality and like mess around with guys and like have these like Taylor Swift romances. Like, jump scare when I say that. Like, I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to argue with anyone. But like this ideology of like, oh, this is what it is supposed to be like. And your excuses from the age of 14, kids are having sex super young now.
Maybe even like 12, which
I know.
Honestly, I hung out with a very questionable group when I was in 6th grade, and literally one of my friends was not having sex, but like she was having activities in 6th grade with an 8th grader. And I like now look back and I'm like, oh, we were 12.
Babies.
We were literally 12. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
But like they're sold this lie that like from like 12 to 22, it's just your time. Yeah. It's your time to make mistakes. It's your time. Well, yeah, we're all going to make mistakes, okay? It's always your time to make mistakes, because we all fall sin of the glory of God. I just messed that up. But like your mistake making is every day when you wake up. It never ends. No. But like it's not your time to forego the gospel and partake in sin.
Absolutely.
Like, that's exactly what the enemy wants you to do. Is be like, oh, but it's okay because I'm like in this age range and I'm supposed to do this.
It's just fun.
Yeah. And it's like, actually, that's not fun.
Yeah.
That is gonna shame spiral you, give you guilt. Like, loads of consequences come with that.
Absolutely.
But I love our yap.
I knew this was going to happen. I love it.
We haven't even gotten to question 2.
I love it.
Okay, what was your experience with purity culture? Like, walk us through growing up. Like, what were you told? What was your experience?
Yeah, I would say purity culture was very conflicting for me. Like, even though I grew up in a Christian household, heavily involved in my church, I actually was like the president of my youth group growing up, which is so hilarious and so like funny. I know. And yeah, it makes sense to what I'm about to talk about. And then, wait, sorry, what was your question again? I'm going to make sure I'm not going on a tangent.
It's okay.
Yeah.
What was your experience with purity culture?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I say that because, so that was like my background. And then I like went to a public school all growing up and exposed to a lot of different beliefs, a lot of different lifestyles. And then I went to a purity retreat when I was in 8th grade. That was honestly, it was kind of funny now looking back because I didn't even know it was a purity retreat. I knew it was a church retreat. It was at my friend's church. So it wasn't even my home church. And she was like, oh, I'm like last minute going to this retreat with my church. It's for a long weekend. You should come. And then I go. Oh, no. And I literally get there and I'm like, oh, wait, I think we're like talking about sex all weekend. Like not knowing, which is so like the type B side of my personality is coming out. And I'm like, now looking back as an adult, and my parents didn't know either. And we're just like, whatever. Yeah. Exactly. And I was like,
a weekend away?
Yeah. So we play games. So fun. No, not fun.
No.
No, literally. And so what I remember from there is pressing it all, talking about do not have sex.
Yeah.
And if you do have sex, you are seen as dirty. And if they might not have said this verbatim, but it did communicate. And if you do, you are less than for your future husband. You are less desirable. I literally remember this woman coming in, us all having cups, and then putting like, I don't know if it was dirt or something in each of our pure water cups, and then mixing them and being like, this is what happens when you have like multiple sexual partners. And it was so, I mean, the fact that was almost 20 years ago, and I still can remember it so well.
Yeah.
I'm like I would not want my child to learn that. And I remember them talking, they brought up a couple who they didn't have their first kiss till they were married, which if people want to do that, I'm not saying that's bad, obviously, but it did, whether they meant to or not, it did communicate that weekend that like the amount of your sexual activity correlates with like how you're seen and like how you're valued. And honestly, it made me like afraid to date and afraid to even, I don't know, just have any kind of, just to date and to like, I remember being like, oh my gosh, well, like I forever have to be like crazy boundaries and even, and it just instilled so much fear, which is not what I needed at age.
Yeah.
So, and then I think that, I don't know, I can go into like more into college and stuff, but it really affected how I saw myself. And I think talking to other girls who, you know, messed up or whatever, and then would try to date, especially in the Christian pool later in college, there was always this running dialogue, whether people said it or not, where it's like, oh, well, if you have extensive sexual history, you're not as desirable. Or maybe you don't even qualify for me to date you, which is just so not biblical or like God's heart. Yeah.
That's so hard. How do you feel like that messaging shaped the way you viewed yourself in your body? Like, how did that affect your like mental game on your view of yourself?
A lot of shame. Like even, thank goodness for therapy. But
Amen.
When I first graduated college, I was on a worship team at a pretty big church. And I remember I started to have these feelings of people looking at me in the crowd, and I like felt paranoid. And like I felt super exposed. And I played keys a few times, and I felt so much better being behind the keyboard, being like not directly in the light versus singing. And thank goodness through a Christian therapist and being able to unwind a lot of that stemmed from purity culture and seeing like my body as being a temptation for men and being like, oh my gosh, like I can't, like I was paranoid about the way I would move in a certain way, or
Wow.
I'd be like, okay, well, if my clothes hang on me a certain way that exposes my shape, like that's like sinful. And I think it made me really kind of paranoid, honestly, about like, am I giving off like being overly sexual?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that translate in your relationship with God?
I think it already played into me really struggling being a performative Christian and like really wanting to like be pretty legalistic about my faith, which is so funny because I don't see myself as a legalistic person.
Yeah.
I definitely don't see myself I don't see my friends that way.
Yeah.
Like I definitely don't judge, but for myself, I was like, okay, I have to do this. I remember I went through this era of wearing this like high neck cami that was so ugly, and but it's because I was like, okay, if you see any cleavage, like that is sinful, and
Yeah.
I'm being a temptress, and it put so much of this dialogue, and I think it made me feel like I had to further earn God's love and approval. Yeah, and I think it took away from like the love and the fatherly figure that God is supposed to be in our life and that intimacy, because I just was like, okay, I have to do everything right. I have to do everything right. And I think that was played into by a lot of early messaging through purity culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So walk us through college. You said you would tell us about college. So
What a time.
for the
Yeah.
those days.
Yeah.
For the college girlies, or even like yo pros that are like coming out of college and they're like, whew.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Walk us through college and like just I don't know. I know the story. So you just tell me.
Yeah. I think for me, college is so interesting. As we were kind of talking earlier about like drinking and different expectations, I felt like, especially going to a big party school, the level of what is accepted is totally not realistic when you're in college. Like you are allowed to do and say and whatever, and people are like, oh, it's college, it's fine. But in the real world, you'd be like, no, you are insane, or like you need to get on medication.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like you need help.
No, literally. But in college, it's like, oh, it's fine, we're in college.
Yeah.
And I now look back at, honestly, like I wasn't that wild, but like some of my behavior and like my friends' behavior where we totally blew it off. And I'm like, no, that was actually a cry for help. But we were like, oh, whatever, it's college. So anyway.
I told someone that the other day, like about game day culture, like how terrifying it is. Like I don't really think parents know.
No.
Like what that, like I'm like trying to decide like what details need to go on the World Wide
Same.
Web.
I think of different stories where I'm like,
oh,
it might be too much. Yeah.
But like I remember an adult being like, I had no idea that my kids were waking up on college game day at an SEC school and starting the day off like drinking beers or mimosas, then doing a line of cocaine. Like they would do a downer and then an upper, a downer and then an upper. So like drinking all day, like beers and champagne all day, switching to liquor at night, but then every few hours, like cocaine, Adderall, weed, this, and like just their systems getting trashed for a day. And then they're like, I don't know why my kid has like a substance problem or like the shock. And I'm like, you should look at game day culture and like what we're sending our kids. And I don't mean that like shamefully or like disgracefully to parents. Like I don't know what I would have done if I had the opportunity to go to an SEC school. I never really liked college, or like school. So like I can't relate in that area. So I'm not saying like, oh, if you send your kid to an SEC school, you're a sinner.
Yeah.
No. What I am saying is like, I just feel like parents and people, even kids, don't really walk in eyes wide open and know what you're walking into.
Oh, I was so naive. Like I remember friends telling me, because I didn't drink at all in high school, until like literally right before. My friends were like, Brittany, you need to experience like getting drunk like before you go to college, so you don't like, so you know your limit and so that you don't become in a worse place. So like fueling this fear. And even like honestly, my experience at my college, like it was insane sexual promiscuity. That was so wild to me, where a lot of assault, but also like kind of normalizing, I guess we're going to be explicit here, like threesomes or like people, like multiple couples in the same room sleeping together, like just wild stuff where I'm like, that is so insane. And people are just like, oh, haha,
Yeah.
And then you talk to them about it later one-on-one and you're like, no, I actually feel a lot of shame. Or they're like, I'm actually really embarrassed. Everyone knows. But publicly, everyone's like, oh, haha, that was so funny, so crazy. And it's...
And we're and everybody posts like the cute picture in their like school colors, like the afternoon before everything happens. And then the next day, everybody's like reposting their picture. And you're like, oh, it looks like she had such a great game day or she had such a great weekend at college. And you're like, no, actually it's Monday morning and she feels like she's dying on the inside because of what happened. But we're going to all make our little squares look like everything is great and awesome and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm over the Christianity, like purity culture movement of legalism and performative Christianity, I am just as much over as it's not that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we're not hurting.
No, we're fine.
Yeah.
We're not fine.
Yeah.
Neither's fine. I feel like everybody's getting whiplashed into extremes. Like we're 90s kids that were like grew up in the early 2000s. We were whiplashed into like the legalistic, like just do everything right.
Yeah.
And then you whiplash the other kids or like the next few generations that are after us that are in high school and college or yo pros right now. And they were told it's not that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we've missed the mark on all of it. And now we're all friggin' in therapy.
No,
like
literally. Everyone I talk to, when we talk about like our college experience, I think all of us are like, I think we were all depressed. Like, I think a lot of us were heavily depressed for a lot of
How
college.
do you make those choices and not be depressed?
No, literally. Yeah. And kind of, sorry, I know we're trying to stick to our topic of purity culture, but even like wrapping that in, I feel like I was protected, honestly, by God, that I didn't have, like, honestly, I did have some rough experiences that were, like, not that bad compared to other people, but seeing a lot of, and having a lot of trust with girls around me who did have horrible experiences. I think purity culture tied with, honestly, so much, like, sexual assault. Honestly, I just was, like, so afraid. Like, so afraid for most of my 20s, where I was just like, okay, well, I need to be pure to keep my value, but also, like, I'm afraid because people take advantage. And it's just, but then also hearing my friends who wanted to date a good guy and maybe became a Christian later, or maybe it was just something they struggled with. And feeling like they weren't allowed to date like the good guys because they're like, well, I'm already ruined. And I was like, that is
actually
not true.
Not true at all.
Yeah.
Not true at all. And also, we all sin.
Literally.
So, like,
and it's all equal.
Just because he didn't have sex doesn't mean he hasn't sinned or struggled with something.
Yeah.
And it's
literally.
like, that's what Adam and I talked about, like, in our episode. And we talk about, when we, like, talk about the next generation, he's like, I didn't have sex with anybody, but dang, I was messed up.
Yeah.
Like, just because their works look good doesn't mean their heart is in the right place. Yeah. And so we're all on our journey. So where do you feel like God has, like, met you in the middle of being a recovery purity culture?
I love it. She's in recovery.
She is.
I feel like, honestly, thank goodness I see a Christian therapist, and I felt like she really helped me. Like, because I knew early in my, or like my mid-20s, I kind of figured out, and I'm 31 now for context. I was like, man, I have so much fear around dating, and I'm like very fearful avoidant. Like, I knew enough and had enough emotional intelligence awareness where I was like, I am so afraid, and where does this come from? And it really did all come back to the purity culture. And so I'm really grateful from working with her, just like doing the rewiring, like, hey, if you kiss someone, like, you're not all of a sudden like, you know, your value doesn't go down by 4% or whatever, or, you know, whatever it is. Like, it's not a big deal. And I think also, in my own journey, I really struggled with being performative, being in control. And I think tying in like a lot of the toxic teachings of, and, you know, I think the pastors, I think they tried their best. And they, you know, we all don't know what we don't know until now we see the effects and we're like, oh yeah, we're all in therapy now. So
Sorry about that.
Literally. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. So, oh my gosh, where was I going with that?
The pastors.
Oh yes, the pastors and, wait, I was bringing it to, current day. Okay. So, sorry, let me get back to where I was going with this.
Happens to me all the time.
I know. I'm like, wait, I was bringing that up for a reason.
I love it.
Oh no, is it gone?
It may be.
It may be gone.
That's okay.
Wait, what was the question we were talking about?
Where's God meeting you in the middle? Where's God met you in the middle of like you're recovering
Oh, yes.
from
Okay.
that mentality?
Yes. So kind of going from everything I was previously taught to now, I feel like I'm in this mindset of it. It's not so much about doing things the right way or following a certain rule, but it's about God has grace. God has his best for you. And there are parameters and there are, in the Bible they tell us how to live. And like there's a reason why he tells you that.
Yeah.
And that's tied into purity culture. And like you said, that's not just, oh, I haven't had sex. It's like, oh, I'm going to protect you. Or protect your heart, protect your eyes. Like purity culture is so much more than having sex.
Yeah.
So I think it's also me relearning God's character for me, being like, Brittany, he's not trying to keep you or be like, I will strike you down if you do this or you're not as worthy or whatever. But I think it's relearning God's heart is really what has changed my view on purity culture. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think that's true. I think like we've talked about this before, but like purity culture again is not just sex. And it's like, it's so much bigger than that. It is like, it's protecting your heart, mind, your eyes, your ears, your whole being.
Yeah.
Because God loves you so much. So when he says like, don't involve yourself in like sexual sin, that doesn't just mean, it means all the activities.
Yeah.
It means lust. It means like,
What are you thinking about all the time?
Yeah.
What are you fixating on?
Yeah. And something I struggled with in college because of that, like, I'm a Christian and I want to get married. Like, I wanted to get married. Mm-hmm. It's like, I can remember being like 18 years old, 19 maybe. Mm-hmm. And like, it was like all I talked about. Like I lost one of my like very best friends because she got so annoyed with me. She was like, there is more to life than just getting married. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so annoying back then. Like fair enough,
Which is funny because I feel like I had the opposite experience. Or I was the opposite. In college, I felt like everyone only wanted to talk about getting married senior year. Even though like it was not a Christian school and it wasn't as much ring by spring, there were people who I felt like, okay, I'm in Nashville, I'm getting married. And I was just like, everyone has such small dreams and they only want to get married. And so I ran away to California.
Yeah.
And then finally came to this point of being like, oh, you've been denying yourself that you've wanted this the entire time.
Yeah.
But you've just been afraid or, I don't know, whatever you want to say. I think it was mostly fear. But so that's kind of funny you saying that because I was like, man, you went from like, I'm going to embrace, and I literally was like, I'm going to shove this desire away because I can't be honest with myself right now.
But I think that's like where our trauma took us, right?
Yeah.
Like yours took you like, I need to escape. And I was like, oh, I'm going to lean in and I'm going to get married and do all
Build
the
my
things.
family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, I didn't even like really want kids at that time. But I was just like, it's so interesting. Like, I think if we had like 3 more girls sitting down with us, they probably would have responded differently than even we did.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Just how messaging impacts different people. And then we could like bring in like our families of origin and why we felt all these ways and blah, blah, blah. Because like it all affects us. And I just remember being like so obnoxious during that time. I'm like, ooh, jump scare.
Yeah.
Like I'm so sorry to that friend. Like we're not friends anymore. I'm pretty sure we unfollowed each other on Instagram. Like just to be honest, but like I look back and I'm like, oh, so fair from her perspective because like I was so annoying. But I had like weird teaching in my life at that too. Like people who were like, I heard from God that you're gonna blah blah blah, and I was like, yes. I just wanted Jesus so bad. And I think at the end of the day, that's probably where we were at in those seasons of like immaturity and like probably not having like good mentorship in our life at that time because like we wanted Jesus so badly, just like the way we went to try to go get him in our brokenness was like a little sideways.
Or like trying to find security. Like honestly, my security was mine. So like going away from a place that no one knew me and like really holding on to my career and making a lot of money. And your security might have been like, okay, well, I'm going to get married and do this and da da da. So I kind of feel like it's about security, which I feel like all of us women is really what we want. Yeah. But I think we just go about it in different ways.
Yeah. And I think, would you say this? I'm going to make a statement and then you say if you feel like that's like, it feels true to you. But
okay, cool.
I do feel like sometimes like when girls do start to make those compromises young and especially with like a partner that they're in a relationship with, like a boyfriend or like whatever, like they're wanting a love and an affirmation that they're not getting like from Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like we're all searching for something. Like college Brittany that was like underage drinking and like her friends that were like making some funky choices. Like y'all were all looking for something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
whether you knew it or not, you were looking for a good time, looking for an escape, looking for
Acceptance.
yeah, whatever it is. And like mine was the same way. Like I just wanted to be loved. So like I wanted to get married because like I just wanted someone to be like, I choose you and I love you. Because like my childhood wounding was, I don't love you and I will walk away from you. You know?
Yeah.
And so I think like when we get to the root of what this culture is and like each person individually, like we're all looking and needing something. Like we said earlier, like I think there's a grace over like our youth leaders and the times of like those people that like sent
The
us
love waits rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
They I think there was like a conference like that at the church I grew up in. But like I think there's a grace over them. So I don't want to like come at it at a critical heart because like I'm in like a leadership position now. And so I hope in like 20 years, like if like I like really get a certain messaging wrong, I hope people like remember me as like her heart was in the right place. She didn't, you know, like
they loved and cared. They really cared.
I really do love all the sweet like young women that I get to like care for and lead. But like I do think there's a grace over them. And like I think at the heart of it, what they wanted us to know is that like you don't want to make those choices because like it robs you of X, Y, and Z.
100%.
Joy. Like it's biblical. Like you're making soul ties with another person when you engage in intimacy with somebody else that's not your spouse. Like there is truth woven in.
Yeah.
It's just like the wrong billboard.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like
yes.
The bold print was not right.
And we forgot grace.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the subtitles were probably there. Or the ingredient list was like really in small fine print underneath.
For sure.
But like who reads that? Nobody. So like all we read was like, don't have sex.
No, I'm like all I remember is the dirty water and being like, impure.
I know. I don't want to be dirty water.
No, literally. I was like, I want to be the plain water.
And like, who even drinks plain water now?
I know. We love electrolytes.
I
we
love Element
fiber water or whatever.
Yes. Colostrum in your water.
Yeah.
I'm
exactly.
done.
Oh my gosh.
I just, it's so nuanced. Like, I think this conversation is so tricky, and like, you could take a soundbite out of this and be like, oh, look at these, her heresies.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
No.
We're talking about the hard issues. But if you could rewrite it, like if you could, if you could rewrite what you were told, and like, there was a high school, college, young woman sitting in front of you, what would your statement of purity culture be?
I would say first and foremost, God is our Father and protector, and that's how we should see God, especially when like wanting to obey and follow him. And also that he just knows best. And I would also say like sexual sin is just as important and just as impactful as any other sin. And it doesn't make you better or worse than other sinners because we're all in the same playing field. But at the end of the day, God does want to protect us, and he gives us those boundaries for a reason. And it's because he loves us, protect us, and he knows better. And I think just also to anyone who deals a lot of shame for not waiting or any kind of sexual history, I just would say, like, you really are renewed with Christ. And I think I say that in a very, I say that I want to make sure it doesn't come off like flippantly. He really does care, and there is redemption. And honestly, as we were talking, I'm thinking about, I've known couples where like the guy has waited, the girl had more extensive sexual history, and vice versa. And like there is redemption. And like you can still have a very healthy marriage even if you've made mistakes. And it's not the end of the world. And I would also say to people who maybe don't have as much of an extensive sexual history and would like to be with someone who also doesn't have much of a sexual history, I would say you need to look inside your heart and being like, okay, are you the judge?
Yeah.
Are you the judge? Is that how you see others? Because I think that is super impactful and hurtful. And I think that plays into a lot of the unhealthy mindsets around purity culture.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. And I think like what we said, like our heart for women and men, but like predominantly women are going to listen to this. So like, and that's who we can speak to because we've walked, that journey. But like, we want you to know that like you are so loved.
Yeah.
Like God knew you and formed you in your mother's womb, but like he knew you before then.
Yeah.
And he like knows your whole story. There's no surprise to him. Like we're not 31 sitting on this couch and God's surprised by our life. Yeah. Like, and he knows the end. However long we're going to be here, whatever our story is, like he already knows it. And so Jesus went to the cross regardless of what the next, hopefully, 60 years of our life looks like he still chose the cross. So you are dearly and enormously loved. And like God puts constructs and bumpers around our life for goodness and protection and blessing. Not for, I'm holding out on you. I don't want you to have that much fun.
Yeah.
I want you to live a stingy life. Like he puts those barriers in place to like, as a bowling ball, like keep us in our lane, onward, in our walk to get to glory.
Yeah.
And like, just like a bowling ball goes to hit pins, is on mission to like hit pins, we are on mission going to do something. So I think like when we break down the messaging too, it looks like the lie that's sold is like, it's not that big of a deal, or like, this is your time to like totally mess up and like live your life. Like, well, no, because your life is supposed to be on mission, whether you're 7, 17, 27, or 87. We're all supposed to be rolling towards, we're all supposed to be moving towards the end goal. Yeah. And that is, do we love God above all else? And do we love others well? Do we fix our eyes and our hearts on the fruits of the Spirit? Do we put the armor of God on before we walk out into the giant world or get on the World Wide Web and scroll and decide like we want to compare or we think that we're less than or whatever? Like there are constructs and there is this space that we want to sit in of God, search me and know me and make my heart pure. Yeah. And then our actions to follow, Like I think that if our generation and like the generations behind us could like hold on to that and not just like, oh, I checked my box, we would be in a much different spot in the next 5 years,
Oh, huge, massive.
Yeah, it would be, it would be insane.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay. So what advice do you have for any woman? And I know you're not married. I am married. I used to be in like a season of life where if I didn't wear my wedding ring, people would be like, are you and Adam okay? Because like we were on the rocks. Nope, I just have eczema underneath it, but I didn't wear it. And then I like started to overthink it and get a little panicky. Anyways, do you have like advice for like girls in your season? Like what's going on in your season? And like what
would you say like in dating in total or just like in accordance with like trying to stay like pure while being single or just kind of all?
Just whatever comes to your heart and mind.
Okay, cool. I would say boundaries are so good. Yeah. Boundaries are so good. I'm really passionate about like you can have male friends, but there has to be boundaries with it. And I'm also such a proponent of healthy dating, which also has boundaries. Yeah. And that doesn't mean you need to be like afraid. It doesn't mean you have to be afraid and be like, oh gosh, like we can't hold hands or touch each other, or you know what I mean? Like that, like that's very normal.
Yeah.
But I just think really having healthy boundaries, pulling other people into your relationships and having mentorship, but also like waiting for the right person. Like when it comes to dating, this is something one of my friend's husband said to me, and it's really stuck with me. He's like, Brittany, he's like, wait for a man who is fully ready and will fully pursue you, because if you end up with someone who doesn't, like eventually someone will. Which I was kind of like, what does that mean? But basically he's like, don't try to rush it, because I think sometimes being 31, being single, it's like, oh, and honestly in the Christian environment, I don't feel old. I think other people project onto me that I'm old for being single, and even like I've been on dates where they're like, so what's wrong with you? And I'm like, okay, yeah. And I just was like,
You're like, check. We'll take the check.
And I was like, you're single as well, so what? No, literally, it's wild. But yeah, I think I know waiting.
We're going to do a mini episode on what to and not say when you're dating as a Christian.
Needed.
Maybe don't say that.
I know, it's truly wild. And I literally just like, okay, moving on.
You're like, I would like the steak to go.
Yeah. I was
you got the tab.
I was like, yeah, check please. But on that note, to go to the bathroom is so bad right now.
I'm dead.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's hard, but I don't know. I think for me, I just like have a lot of peace that I do believe I will get married.
Yeah.
When? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think God brings so much purpose into my life and other avenues, and he's doing so much that, like, yes, it's sometimes hard to fight that desire, but I'm also like, I don't know, God is outside of time. But also boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries with your life, boundaries with male friendships, with dating.
Yeah.
Living in community, it's all part of it. And also you are still worthy and valuable being single. It's not like you've achieved something when you get married. It's a beautiful thing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But also like being single is great too. It can be hard, but there is a lot of greatness to being single too.
Yeah. And we need to normalize all of it.
Yeah.
We need to normalize, like, you don't have to have ring by spring. You don't have to, like, be married at 22. Each avenue you take is going to be hard. Like, there's battles and mountains and valleys and all the things to every journey. And, like, I just want to normalize and, like, give love to everyone who's walking out their season, because like our stories aren't all supposed to be the same.
Yeah.
That's why I think Brittany and I are big proponents of hanging out with people that have different stories than you, or look different than you, or come from different families than you, or maybe jump scare have different beliefs than you, because it's healthy.
Yeah.
It's so healthy. It gets really unhealthy when you only hang out with like the same people that look exactly like you and believe the same thing as you.
100%.
That's when it gets like a little scary, because then we get like a little self-righteous of like, look at us.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Nobody's right or wrong here. We're all just like on this journey of life.
Yeah. And also I will say, to kind of, because I don't want to steer past this, like it is hard being single and having like a sex drive and having sexual desires.
Yeah.
That is normal and okay. You don't need to feel shame about it.
Yes.
But practicing self-control, practicing boundaries, and like, I mean, it's hard. Like there is.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think for me, I haven't had to deal with a direct temptation quite a bit because of those boundaries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to acknowledge for single girls where I'm like, yeah, it's hard because we are sexual beings and like we are made for that, and like literally biologically, and that's okay, and you can acknowledge that, and you don't need to have shame around that.
Yeah. Because I do think a lot of girls are like scared when they get married, because they're like, oh my gosh, this is so fun and this is great, but like I was told this was wrong for so long.
Yeah.
And then you're like, now I'm supposed to just like turn it on and be like a freak
in
the bedroom? Like,
no, literally.
And you're like, oh, in one night, your whole mentality is supposed to change.
Yeah.
So then there's this other whole shame spiral that can go down after marriage, or like when you are dating someone and those feelings come up and you're like, I've been told this is wrong and I need to shove this down. And it's like, actually, no, sex is good. Activities are great. In the bumpers. And when you have those feelings, like out of the construct of marriage or after you get married and you're like dealing with like the shame spiral, it's like, okay, no, God made this good. Period. God has boundaries. We have boundaries. And honesty and community matters. So being able to be honest with your partner and being able to be honest in your community and like work it out and be like, because it doesn't have to be this like quiet, like inner sin struggle. I think that's like
where like taboo, where it's like, I can't share what's going on.
Yeah. Like I can't, I'm a little scared that like I got a little tingly in this moment. And you're like, no, it's okay. Everybody does.
Yeah,
you know?
I got a little tingly. I love that. No, that is so real.
True.
That is so
it's like
real.
It's like drinking. Nobody taught us in the like religious world like how to drink.
No.
Everyone's like either don't drink at all, it's a sin, or like we don't talk about it, and like people are getting like a little drunky, and then you're like, I want to be a Christian and like not be hammered, but like how do I navigate this? I feel like sex is the same thing. I'm like, nobody really, the messaging was either like, or it was like, we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, literally.
And you're like, I don't know.
Or like have fun, but behind closed doors and no one wants to talk about it, hear about it.
Nope.
And then we said, and it's, okay, well, about to go on a tangent here.
It's okay.
I like laugh because I think we watch sometimes these movies where it's like, going back to like the 1800s where like girls literally had no idea about sex, like so sheltered, and they'd be married and it was like the shock on the wedding night where they were like, oh my gosh. And you know, we hear about that, or, you know, hear about on TV or whatever, and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. But in some ways we kind of do that in the church where it's like, yeah, like just don't have sex, don't have sex, don't have sex. And then it's like, okay, get married, great, but we're never going to do any kind of transition or talk about it. Even it's truly wild. I've talked to some married couples who like in their premarital counseling didn't really talk about it. And I'm like,
we didn't.
How did you, that is so wild to me. That is so wild. Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that ties into part of purity culture where we don't have a healthy mindset about sex. And it's not even just for the single people where you're telling them like, don't have sex, but it also hurts people for marriage too. So I think that's something people misconstrue about purity culture is they think, oh, it's only for single people and like trying to get them to stay within the parameters, but it's also setting our marriages up for failure and having bad sex lives and having like, I hear it from a lot of my friends all the time who kind of don't want to talk about it because they feel like they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, well, we're actually kind of struggling because I feel this way and there's part of me that feels like it's wrong, and I think it's not talked about enough.
No, it's not.
No teaching or instruction on it, which is so sad.
It's such a like disservice to our communities.
Yeah.
Like, because I know it, even sitting here, I'm like, okay, everything I've said is okay, right? Like I'm theologically in line. Like I think everybody starts to overanalyze, and then like everybody's going to fall a little differently depending on your like denomination. But like, I don't know. I just like want to get out of the comfort zone of myself and be like, this is what I think. It's okay if you disagree. But, like, we got to bring the conversation to the table.
Yeah.
And then, like, we can all work it out together. But everybody's suffering in silence. It's not going well.
Yeah.
And, like, we can talk about it, like, within our communities. Like, hopefully this conversation spurs a conversation in, like, a, like, young women's group that, or whatever. Like, and people just, like, the enemy, like, Satan thrives in silence.
Yeah.
And seclusion. He does not thrive in light. He can't exist. He can't have territory when the light comes in. So, like, I just hope that we took a huge spotlight and shone it in this area.
I said, look.
Yeah. You don't get to win anymore.
Exactly. And it's okay to talk about these things. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to be like, I struggle. It's okay I have sexual desires. It's okay to be like, this was a hard transition for me.
Yeah.
Or what does this look like?
Yeah.
Because we're humans and it's messy and it's hard and it's not a straightforward, I mean, it is in some ways, but there's a lot of things, there's kind of like a lot of gray, and a lot of people have different opinions on what that means. And I think having like biblical leadership and like I think it makes a biblical leadership, but also really knowing the heart of God as your protector and your father and someone who wants to protect your goodness.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
I've loved our time.
Me too. It was so fun.
We should do a part 2.
No, I would love it.
What to and not say at the dinner table.
I honestly could probably give you a lot of really interesting...
We should make like a coffee table book of like really awkward pictures of people at dinner and things people have said to you on dates.
Oh my gosh, I really could. Because I've had some really good ones, but I've also had some really wild ones where I'm like, what is happening? Or being like, I know you're a good man, but this is weird right now.
This is not gonna work.
Yeah, this is not it. So part 2, can't wait.
Yes, here we go. Well, I love you. Thank you for being here.
So fun.
Yay.
So fun.
The end.